Thank you everyone so much for joining us tonight. Every Monday night I like to host a Mums on a Mission call where we have 3 mums talk about their mission with the Juice Plus company as mums and how it's changed and impacted their lives financially and to boost independence in their lives as well. So I have 2 lovely ladies on tonight. It's a blonde call tonight where we all seem to be blondes. My name is Jenny Little and I'm a senior sales coordinator. I live just north of Toronto in Canada, and I'm a mom of 4, so I have 2 children from love, and I have 2 children that I made all by myself, my twin boys, and I'm a former educational assistant. I used to work with children with special needs, and I love that job so much because it really filled my heart and it made me feel like I was doing something that was making a difference and that was contributing. Unfortunately, it's not a position that gives you a very good bank account. So I was always struggling with, the loving my job and loving my bank account. And that was okay. It was okay that I wasn't making the most money because I was doing something that made me feel like I was contributing positively to this world. Fast forward a couple years, my husband and I got married and we found out we were having twins. And with the arrival of twins, we just decided that I would stay home and raise them until they went to school at least. And that's what I decided to do. We were okay financially, so that wasn't an issue. But I did find myself a few months after the boys were born feeling very trapped and feeling very dependent on someone, and that wasn't a place that I was comfortable with. But I thought that it was less uncomfortable for me to send them off to a daycare. So I lived with that feeling. When my boys turned a year old, I was exhausted to the point that I couldn't get out of bed without a cup of coffee in the morning. I used to bug my husband every morning to make me a cup of coffee, and he did. It was in just the beginning of June, right after the boys turned a year, that he started going to work a lot earlier. He builds homes for a living, so he's up with the sunlight, and I didn't have my morning coffee anymore to wake me up in bed. So what I did was I bought a coffee machine and I put it on my bedside table. And that was how I started my day, by rolling over and making up a coffee. And that's the best solution that I had at the time, because the only way I knew how to survive and get through the day was through caffeine. When my husband came home, I thought he would think this was a great idea, but he said that this is ridiculous. You can't live off caffeine. You need to figure this out. He goes, call Alyssa. Alyssa Harriman was a good friend of mine, and she had helped me nutritionally through my pregnancy and, helping me decide on what formula to choose for the boys after they were born. So I called her and I reached out to her because I knew she was using the Juice Plus product line. And I trusted her professionally. And I just asked, is this something that's going to give me more energy? Because I'm doing everything that I know to do. I'm eating very healthy. I'm exercising every day. I'm sleeping very well. I was doing everything, and it just wasn't enough. And when she explained to me that the foods that I was eating, they were good, but they were ripened on a truck, and they weren't as nutrient dense as what the Juice Plus product was, it just made sense, because most of our produce is shipped in from California, and it takes weeks to get here, and it's probably picked weeks before it's ripened. And when that kind of clicked, I thought, I'll give it a try. I signed up as a distributor only because I purchased a Tower Garden right away. I ordered the 3 blend and the shakes. It made sense. I actually earned money back. So that was great. And within 2 days, I remember messaging her and asking her if the capsules had caffeine in them, because I felt amazing. And I was opening the capsules and stirring them into the boys' cereal every morning. And I felt so great that I couldn't believe that food could do that. I only associated feeling that great with caffeine. She assured me there wasn't any caffeine, so that was great. And I just thought, how can I not share this with people? When my friends started seeing that my 5-kilometer walks were turning into 5-kilometer runs, and when I reached out to my friends to share with them that I was a struggling mom, that I did feel that I wasn't good enough. I felt like I wasn't making ends meet in the home. The house was never clean enough. The boys were never taken care of enough. Felt like I wasn't a good wife. I felt like I wasn't a good mom because I didn't have the energy to do the things that I wanted to do. And when I started sharing that with my friends, a lot of them had similar complaints that, so there isn't enough hours at the end of the day and I just can't get off my butt or I can't get out of bed. And when I started sharing Juice Plus with them, it just made sense to them as well. And it took me 5 weeks to get to the top commission level in our company. And it took me a year to replace my previous income from my previous job. And then I got myself back, and that was when I felt like, I am contributing financially to my household, and that made me feel good as a woman, not only as a mom and a wife, but that made me feel good as a woman. And my mission is to help as many women like myself who have low energy or feel like they aren't good moms because of that, or feel like they're not contributing to their household because they did give up a job, or they are working part-time so they can be home and raise their kids, and letting them know that you can do this. I did this with 1-year-old twins, and I'm still doing it, and it's great that I get to help people every single day, and just sharing that with people and just letting them know that there is a better way. And that's just my mission, is just helping and sharing. So I want to introduce Amy now to the call. I asked Amy to be on the call, tonight. And Amy, did you want to share your product and your business story with us?
Yeah, for sure. So hi, everyone. My name is Amy, and I actually was introduced to the Juice Plus products over a decade ago, and I totally did not get them at all when they were first shared with me. It was my hairdresser who shared it, and she shared it with me for years. My entire family was actually taking Juice Plus, and I still didn't think I needed it. I was in my mid-20s. I thought, I'm young, I'm healthy, I'm fit, I understand food. But the truth is that I understood calories in, calories out, and that was about the end of my knowledge. So one time, after her pestering me one more time, I said, fine, I'll try it, get off my back. And actually, I was totally blown away. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the increase in my energy levels. I was a big runner at the time, and I actually started beating my own run times. And I don't know if you know any runners, but when that starts happening, like, that's really huge. And I thought, oh wow, okay, cool. There's something to this. I'm going to keep taking it. And over time, my hair, my skin, my nails, all those things got really incredible. And I just kept taking it. I still didn't really understand what exactly it was, but I actually didn't care. Fast forward a few years, I had 2 babies, and I had just absolutely phenomenal pregnancies. I had no issues with pregnancy, labor, delivery, had perfectly healthy babies that were born on time, and everything was going fantastic. And it was probably when I started trying to feed my son, who as a baby we found out had several food allergies, that I really actually looked into see what Juice Plus was. And I remember phoning my mom and telling her, oh my God, Mom, did you know that this is fruits and vegetables in a capsule that I've been eating for like 5 years? And she's like, what did you think it was? So yeah. So anyways, I started giving it to my son because it was something that I knew was safe for him and would help boost his immune system. Then when my daughter was born, again, another awesomely healthy pregnancy. And it's something that, I feel so good as a mom to be able to give it to my kids every single day. And then this fall, I was kind of challenged, intrigued by my husband to kind of package the Juice Plus products with the capsules with the complete, and kind of do the transformation program. And again, I was totally blown away. At the end of summer, I was tired of how I was looking and feeling, and I'd put on a bunch of weight and I couldn't really get rid of it. And in about 3 months' time, I dropped 25 pounds and, had energy to an even higher level. I didn't know the level of awesomeness could get better, but it totally did. And I love that it's totally safe for my kids to take. My husband takes it. My 8-year-old son will go over to the cupboard and mix himself up a shake. And I love knowing that he's getting really good nutrition with that. And so I was very slow understanding the product, and I was even slower really understanding the power of this business. Again, my hairdresser shared with me, this is a great business for busy people, and it would be perfect for you. You guys are on the go all the time. In my 20s, and even now, we're a super active family. We hike and we mountain bike and we paddleboard and we canoe in the summer, and we ski all winter. My kids ski race. And I actually joined the business kind of again out of persuasion after my daughter was born. But I didn't want a business. I wasn't looking for anything. My background is engineering. And honestly, when it was shared with me that I could earn an extra $500 a month, that didn't excite me at all. I thought, I don't know that I'd get out of bed for another $500 a month. And now I realize the difference between residual income and working hourly for that. But at the time, I didn't get it. I joined it because I was already sharing with people, hey, this is something awesome. This is safe for your kids. And I had a couple of customers. And my hairdresser said, well, I can take that money or I can give it to you. And I was like, well, heck, give it to me. So I joined the business, but I wasn't looking for a business. I wasn't looking for a way to make money. But we'd moved in there and I was missing a sense of community. So I came out to an event. I fell in love with the people. I fell in love with the community, and I wanted to go to more events. So I became an event junkie, but that was really it. And it's only actually been more recently that I've really realized, and I guess started believing in myself, the power of this business and how it's always aligned with my goals, and I just didn't see it. My personal life mission is to make a difference in as many people's lives as I possibly can, in addition to having fun and going on as many adventures as we can. And, I've seen my friends come up through this business and they're living that life now, and that's powerful. And also this fall, my daughter went into school full time, and my husband started saying, okay, like we live a very expensive lifestyle. We've been fine to this point, but maybe you could go and get a job. And I was like, heck no, I'm not going back to work. I can't imagine if I was to go back to engineering, it's not 40 hours a week, it's like 60 hours a week. And kids wouldn't be able to do half of what they do. So I see that as a way for me to be able to contribute financially to our lifestyle, as well as share this with other moms. I've got lots of friends that work full time and are looking for other ways to contribute.
Awesome. So you touched on the key things that I want to go back to. So it's the power.
Sorry, I was rambling.
Oh no, I loved it. I love your energy. It's incredible. So the power of consistency. So how do you teach your team, and how do you talk to your team about being consistent? Because if your hairdresser wasn't consistently sharing and introducing Juice Plus to you, if she had just taken your no as a final no and a not right now, how do you teach your team the power of consistency?
Well, one thing that I always share with people and enforce with people, I guess, is that I've always been a very much so my hairdresser dripped on me, but she never forced it on me. And I hate being told what to do. So I think if anyone at any time she'd ever, been like, this is a now or never, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's that constant, you try to, every opportunity kind of, share what it's done for you, what it's doing for you, but never ever be pushy, because that I wouldn't have even given the product a try if she'd been pushy.
Yeah, I completely agree. I couldn't, and I'm pretty passive in the way I share as well. But I do find that result ends up being that much more, because I always feel like if I have to force someone into buying something, or if I have to force someone into joining my team, I'm always going to force them to take it. I'm always going to force them to work it. So I want them to come to this because it was their decision. So what do you do? How do you talk to pregnant moms? Because I know when I was pregnant, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to eat, what I couldn't eat. And because you're growing life, you're just so conscious of all that. So how do you talk about Juice Plus with women that are pregnant?
Well, I think when you are pregnant, when I was pregnant, I was so terrified to put anything in my body, because you're impacting these little growing beings inside you. And I just love sharing that Juice Plus really, truly is food. And there's no possible way you can overdose on it. You could open up the entire bottle and eat it all. And yeah, I just really reinforce that it's just food. And I always share that I had such incredible pregnancies. I had a little bit of morning sickness, but nothing really significant. And like every single visit, my doctors couldn't believe, how healthy I was, I fit the line of what should happen when perfectly.
Awesome. And one of the last things was you said that you didn't believe in yourself, and that's something that you've grown to do, is believe in yourself. So what was that that switch that made you start really seeing this as a business and seeing yourself as a businesswoman?
It's a whole bunch of different things, and it certainly wasn't anything that happened overnight. But meeting some absolutely incredible mentors in this business, and having people really, really believe in me, and not even necessarily just my upline. I mean, I think they've always believed in me, but having people that are sidelined to me, that have absolutely no benefit whatsoever, and looking at me and saying, Amy, I've always known you could do this. You need to see it for yourself. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I love the access to all the coaching and mentoring and whatnot that we have through this business. You hear it again and again, but this really, really is a personal development course.
Oh, absolutely. And that leads me to the last point, is the community. Like, it's so interesting that sometimes we won't share this business with people like, oh, they have enough money, or she's really busy, or whatever it is. But it was the community that you wanted to be a part of. Yeah. And I think that what a lot of people need to understand is that you don't sign up with this business and then it's like, okay, go have fun with that. It's like you're taken under the wing of, like you said, your upline, downline, sign line. Everyone is there to help you succeed. So can you touch a bit on like something that's happened for you in the community at a regional or at a training event that really was just like astounding to you, that you were just like, wow, that's amazing?
I don't know if I can pinpoint one thing. I love having fun, and I love how much fun everyone in the Juice Plus world loves to have. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything is a party, and but it's a party with happy people, and everybody is uplifting. I'm a positive person, and I feed off of people's energy, and just being around that, whether it's 10 people or 8,000 people, just mm-hmm. that are positive and uplifting and want to make the world a better place.
Absolutely. It's those capsules that give you so much darn energy that you can't not be happy, right? Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Amy, for sharing your story with us. Next, I want to introduce Susanne. So Susanne is a nurse, and she's joining us from the U.S. So Susanne, did you want to share with us your product story and your business story and your mission as well?
Yes, Jen, thank you so much for having me. Yes, my journey started 19 years ago. And, my husband was at a charity golf tournament, and he brought home a box of Juice Plus from there. And he said, hey, I met this woman that had Juice Plus on her t-shirt, and I asked her what it was. And back then it was 17 fruits and vegetables in a capsule. And so he brought it home, and I said, you're an emergency room doctor, in my head. You've absolutely lost your mind. There's no way you can get fruits and vegetables in a capsule 19 years ago. I just didn't think it was possible. But within a couple of weeks, he started having more energy, and he was 10 years older than me. And I just didn't want him to outlive me or do anything better than me. And so that's probably why I'm not married anymore. I'm way too competitive. And so, but he took it and he felt so much better. And I thought, you know what? We have 5 kids between the two of us, and we have asthma, allergies, migraines, ADHD, and we are vegetarians. So I thought we were doing everything right. And so when he said this concept of fruits and vegetables in a capsule, I just thought, no, we're doing everything right. But when those kids started on Juice Plus, I'm telling you, just within 2 to 3 months, my daughter was off her asthma medicine, and within 6 months, my stepson was off his ADHD medicine, and we just changed everything. The whole household was much more calm, just, with those things being better too. And it was so good for all of us. And so I think the interesting thing though was that I took it for 4 months, and I thought, gosh, I don't feel any different. So I went off of it. And at the time I just started to feel a little bit like I didn't have that much energy once I stopped it. And I had my blood drawn, and my cholesterol was down 50 points. And that was when all the light bulb came on, and I thought, you know what, you can't feel prevention. And so what I found was I went back on it, and the kids, we all just flourished with the Juice Plus. And so, the person that told me about Juice Plus, maybe once a month, she would call and say, hey, you need to come to Atlanta, because that's where we were growing. That's where we lived at the time, Atlanta, Georgia. And she said, you should come to Atlanta, come on into town, and we have meetings every week, and we'd like you to see what we're doing. And we're like, no, we're good. We're going to take the product. We don't want to, be a rep right now. So about a year and a half, once a month, she invited us. And she'd say, oh my gosh, you were on our chicken list. I didn't really want to call you, because she never wanted to get me, because, I'd always say, oh my gosh, it's her again. So finally we said, I said to my husband at the time, I said, we're going to have to go to a meeting so we can tell her no to her face, that we aren't going to be reps. And so we went into Atlanta. It's been 17 years ago. And it was Dr. Du Bois who was the main speaker. And there were probably 30 people in the audience back there, 17 years ago. And by the time he finished speaking, though, we had the back of our checkbook made out with our memory jogger of people that we knew needed to know about this concept. Whether they said yes or no, we needed to let them know that this concept was out there. And so that's where our journey started. And then, I was in the emergency room, children's emergency room, and neonatal intensive care, and that was my specialty. I loved it. But I had a couple things that happened that scared me as far as things happening in there. It was downtown Atlanta, and I just said to my husband, I think I can do this full time. I think I can, make ends meet and replace my income. And my sponsor at the time said, you really need to go to a conference. And I'm like, no, we're not going to go to a conference. It's just a bunch of rah-rah. And I don't know. We're not going to go. So a couple days before, my husband said, yep, we're going. And so we went. And I saw Wendy Campbell. And she's an top money earner in our Juice Plus company. And it was just remarkable, 17 years ago, to see her. And I thought, what, if she can do this and be so passionate, I can do this. And so that's when I really took this business seriously. And within 2.5 years, made it to the top level of the company as a national marketing director. Well, in the United States, you have your health insurance, dental, vision, $1,000 at Christmas. So it's a beautiful package at the very top level. And so we pursued that, and we've done well. I even went through my divorce without, a bump in the road as financially, as far as that went. My heart was hurt, but my finances were fine. So that to me was such a peace of mind that I love sharing this for that reason too, for women to know, that, there's hope for us. There's not hope for us, but you know what I mean? There's hope that we'll be okay financially. And, one of the things that happened during that time too was that, my daughter that had started when she was 10 years old, about 6 years into taking Juice Plus, she was getting ready for her junior prom, and one of the boys went behind her and took a hold of her hips and shook her hips and said, hey, you better be careful, because you're starting to gain weight. You're going to start looking like Glory, one of their friends that was obese in their high school. And my daughter, a switch turned on for her, and she developed an awful eating disorder. And she was 115 pounds at the time, and she was a competitive cheerleader, a great golfer, regional champ for our school, and then just went down to 68 pounds. And it was a frightening time for our family. But you know what if I would have said, those 6 years before that, what, we're good, we're vegetarians, we're doing everything right. Yeah, it's kind of expensive. We don't need that for 5 children and 2 of us, 7 people. We can't afford it. You know what I mean? What if we would have said that at the time and not taken a serious look at Juice Plus? Then I know by the grace of God that Nicole's still here with us. But I know that the Juice Plus, she didn't throw that up. She didn't restrict. When she did restrict, she always made sure she had her Juice Plus in her body. So I know that saved her life, and I'll forever be grateful for that. And, she's, in and out of that eating disorder, but she never fails to take her Juice Plus. And then her sister lives in Australia. And, last year she said to me, Mom, you've taken care of Grandma and Grandpa before they died. And you've taken care of Nicole. And you know what? I want you to come over to Australia, where she was living for 3 years. She graduated from Michigan State and went over to live in Australia. And so, I got a one-way ticket in last January. I went for 6 months and just completely enjoyed life. And I didn't worry financially. I didn't, think that way at all. We just, we went to Bali. And I said, hey, do you want to go to the Juice Plus conference at the Great Barrier Reef in Hamilton Island? And she said, I'd love to, Mom. But you know what? If we go to Fiji, it's just 3 hours from Hamilton Beach. So let's go to Fiji first. And so those are such the coolest memories and the most wonderful time that I could ever ask for with my kids. And, and enjoying Nicole. She lives in Memphis. And I've just had a wonderful journey with my Juice Plus family and with the product.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure that's not an easy thing for you to share, that vulnerability with your daughter. So I appreciate you sharing that, because you never know, what struggles people go through, and they could be going through that and they feel like they can't share that. And when they hear people sharing something like that, then it kind of lets them know that, there's other people going through similar things. So a couple of things I wrote down while you were speaking was, I love that you said, you can't feel prevention. Roscoe, stop. Sorry, my dog's growling. But you can't feel prevention. And I think, how do you explain, as a nurse, how do you explain that concept to people when people say, I feel fine, I'm fine, we never get sick? How do you explain that concept?
I just tell them, if they say, oh, we already eat well, we never get sick, and they'll just say, we don't understand the concept. But you know what? I tell them, you don't feel any different when you eat an apple. You don't feel any different when you eat a banana. But you know what? You don't see what's happening inside your body at the cellular level. So that's always my standard takeaway from that.
It's so funny you say that, because I had a customer once that said, I've been taking it and I don't really feel any different. And I said the same thing. Well, when I eat broccoli, I don't feel different, right? But I know that it's making a change and it's making a difference in my body. I know it's something healthy, and that's why I eat it. Or else, we'd all just eat candy all day because it tastes great, right?
Right.
But yeah, that's a great way to explain that. So your chicken list. So, I'm sure your husband being a surgeon and you being a nurse, you guys were definitely on a lot of people's lists. How do you teach your team about their chicken list and how to be open with sharing? Because I know for me, like my education is, or my background is education. So I would be very intimidating talking to a healthcare professional about health, right? So how do you do that with your team?
Well, you know what? I tell them my story, and I ask them, just to know that we were successful in our fields, but you know what? We were living paycheck to paycheck, and you don't ever talk about that. You don't see what's going on behind closed doors, that, we had all these things going on in our bodies. And so I just feel like, just to remind them that, my sponsor was very persistent and, once a month invited us. So don't ever give up on people, and always be open, because, doctors and nurses, healthcare, anybody, they all are just normal. They always say that they put their pants on the same one leg at a time, just like us. But to get over that hump of just being, afraid to talk to somebody, it's just to remember, it's not about me, it's about them, just to be the messenger. And maybe people need hope. They need hope, physically they need hope, but they also need hope financially. And that's what we offer.
Because one would assume that you guys, with such professional positions, that you were financially sound, and that's not always the case. So I think the key is to not be judgmental, because like Amy was saying, it wasn't the business, it wasn't the money, it wasn't even the lifestyle necessarily that had my interest, but it was the community that I wanted. And then you were saying about the lifestyle now. I've heard a lot of people say, I would give up the money if I could keep the lifestyle. It's the fact that I get to be home, or I get to take 6 months off. So how do you create vision for new prospects or new team? How do you create that? Because sometimes it sounds a little fake, like, oh, well, you can live here and live there and make $10,000 or $20,000 or $50,000 a month. And it seems like, oh, it's just another one. How do you create vision knowing that you've, experienced and met people that have gotten to those levels?
Well, the most important thing that I have found is to really get to know the person. And what's important to me is not important to them. when I was first introduced to this, you know, I'd never wanted to go to Australia. That was not ever even anything I even thought of. So it's all about relationship building. It's all about finding out about where their heart is and what do they see for their future. And then painting the picture, you know, this is what you can do. This is how it will look, you know, in 60 days and 120 days. And then, you know, 180 days. Show them in bites, you know, just chunks of 90 days at a time even. And just show them what could possibly happen down the road of what they love and what they would like. If they could, you know, if money was no object, you know, what would you like? But I don't even ask that until I really, I mean, the first sitting, I do find out by the end of it, but it's, you know, it's a good 15 to 30 minutes into finding out about them and hearing their story.
Absolutely. And I think you're right in saying that, you know, business is all about relationships and about nurturing even those no relationships that we have. So and nurturing those no's and keep on maintaining that and not to be emotionally attached to that outcome. And because you never know when the circumstances of those people will change, and you never know when their health changes or when they need a plan B. Excuse me. And we're consistently there reminding them, like a car commercial, you know, you might not need us right now, but eventually you will. So I want to thank you ladies so much for joining us tonight and sharing your stories. I'm just going to open up the lines just to see if anyone has any questions or any comments. Is there any questions out there that anyone wants to ask these ladies? I think we're good. Well, thank you ladies so much. And thank you everyone on the call for coming in and spending 30 or 40 minutes with us. I do appreciate you all so very much. And you know, this is our community. We all support one another and we're always here for one another. So thank you so much, ladies. And we're going to say good night.
Good night, you guys. Thanks.
Good night.